happy birthday to one Vincent Lamar Carter. I don't know how old he is, but today is his birthday.
I think he's 45.
And of course, Vince Carter is the only NBA player ever to play 22 seasons across 4 decades. We all know him for the dunks, one of the greatest dunk contests ever, one of the greatest dunk contest participants, one of the greatest dunkers ever, one of the greatest Toronto Raptors ever, one of the best basketball players ever.
For sure.
What is your Vince Carter moment? What is your Vince Carter moment? If you had to think of one, like
the 2001 NBA playoff series against Allen Iverson.
I think I was gonna bring that up. I feel
yeah, for sure. Like, Vince was on another level that series for real, and like he was really carrying that Toronto team, and they had a good chance to put the 76ers out.
Yeah,
so I think of a hoop moment. I also think of the fact that his dunk contest is considered one of the best ever, and obviously you know the names because there are other participants in it, but it's not considered the best ever because they gave him a run of his money. It's just how amazing it was. He was out there. So shout out to Vince Carter. He retired with the Atlanta Hawks. So I wish he could have played in the newer jerseys because I want a Vince Carter jersey, but I hate those uniforms.
Those jerseys are whack.
I've never bought one of those, but shout out to Vince Carter.
Sure. Appreciate the compliment, Ken.
Shout out to Ken.
And with that being said, I'm John W.
It's Frexh.
This is a Hoopers Afternoon session. James Jones was just recently awarded an extension with the Phoenix Suns as their general manager, and since he's gotten there, I think it's safe to say that he's done a good job putting together consistent and great talent. You know, they went to the playoffs last year. Went to the finals last year. My bad, y'all. Didn't mean to downplay that. In the bubble, they went undefeated, just barely missing the play-in game. When you think about James Jones, what he's done for Phoenix, how would you, not necessarily grade his tenure there, but how does tenure look to you so far?
To grade, you have to give him an 8 because he's been there. He came on 2019. And immediately changed like the mindset of things there. Absolutely. He took the risk of getting Chris Paul, and some people thought he might have been done or whatever. And then just putting down the building blocks to build a winning team in Phoenix because Phoenix was so bad for so long or whatever. But you know, they have some solid history. If you think about the Steve Nash years, some of the Charles Barkley years or whatever. So they were really
those guys.
Right. Sure. So you know, he clearly made them a respectable franchise. They're on top of the league right now. Went to the finals last year. They've drafted well. They've signed key pieces. So, but it's not surprising. You know, he's been around winning his whole career. He has 4 championships as a player.
How many LeBron?
LeBron has 4. Yeah, so he has 3 then because LeBron would have.
Yeah. So
he would have been there for the Heat championships and
the one in Cleveland.
I was trying to think, was he on the Wade team? But no, he wasn't on that team. So,
strange posing.
There you go. But yeah, he's been around winning. They call him champ, like because that's what people consider him to be a winner. I guess he won a lot even before, so he clearly brought that mindset there to Phoenix. So, shout out to him. He deserved that extension that he's gotten. He was executive of the year last year. I think he probably could win it again this year, honestly. So,
did you see him pulling up in the black mid-top Air Force Ones, strapped up?
James Jones, he's ready for war, I guess. He's ready for real war.
But no, definitely shout out to James Jones because he's in a position that I think we would like to see. Not even just more like African Americans get, but more NBA, like former NBA players as well. Because we've seen, of course, all of them, you can't say, well, all of them going to do a good job of that, but he shows that there's a lane for them to be successful in that position, and they can do a good job. And there's been some in the past, but I feel like it's not a real thing to see. When James Jones go to those meetings, how many former players do you think that he see that like, oh yeah.
Yeah, especially the president of basketball operations. Because it's not, I mean, it's a
I'm pretty sure it's a few.
You get a couple GMs.
I mean, I don't care about those people.
Like El Brand is a GM, but
Darren Moore is the president of basketball operations.
Right. So yeah, that it is kind of rare. You'll see a here or there because I'm trying to think of someone else. I mean, because Steve Kerr was one at one time.
Yeah.
But actually, a lot of them usually just end up being general manager. A lot of them don't really get to president of basketball operations. But it's definitely somebody I'm forgetting. But it's definitely rare. And I mean, he's shown why he got, especially to get it so quick because he
that is well right. He didn't
he
have
retired
to wait for
and he instantly became like the junior president of basketball operations. Then he got the big job like a year later. So I mean, that clearly shows the mindset that he's had for the team. And Phoenix was, I don't know who their owner is or what they call him now, the governor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure still that one guy from the reports.
Yeah, because remember they had those issues. If it is still him,
yeah.
And I remember at one point just hearing people thinking like they need to force him out or try to make him sell the team and stuff like that. So to put winning even around that in itself is an amazing job. Yeah. So yeah, for sure.
Cade Cunningham last night against the Denver Nuggets did something that only Michael Jordan did as a rookie. With 32 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals, 6 threes.
He had 4 blocks.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
And of course, now when Cade has been bubbling over the last couple of weeks, and when you see a performance like that, this is when the rookie of the year race kind of get real, in my opinion, because of course we see what Evan Mobley is doing, how he's affecting Cleveland, and they're winning. Mm-hmm. We've seen Scotty Barnes, but I feel like people are kind of not backing off of him, but he's kind of taking a step back because of how Cade is playing so well. And then Jalen Green never really caught up to the top 3 just because he's been the more inconsistent. Will not say he's been bad this year,
right? For sure.
But do you think this is the time of the season where just with the awards in general, like we see who probably finna take off and maybe win these awards? Speaking on Cade right now, though.
Yeah, because I mean you're more than halfway through the season, right? So this is where me and X was talking about this a little bit on Twitter the other day. Shout out to X. Like you have to acknowledge the consistency of what Mobley has done throughout the whole year. Sure. But outside of him, he didn't really have much competition because early in the year, when people give away the awards way too early, it was like him and Scotty Barnes. Mm-hmm. But
Scotty Barnes has still been good.
I think he's still been good. But I think it's been looking like it's just been Mobley. But then Cade he's gotten better throughout the season. I mean, he missed the first couple of weeks, so now you like getting in shape. Some people were already calling him a bust, but he had to take time to get adjusted. And once he's got adjusted, he's been that good. I think he leads rookies in scoring and assists right now. So I think he's definitely seriously putting himself in contention. But if Mobley stays consistent with the fact that he's contributing to his team winning, because no matter what anyone want to think, winning goes into these awards because it just shows your contribution. Unless your stats are just eye popping, it's just so amazing. We can't. I mean, because like LeBron won it over Melo his rookie year, even though Melo done made the playoffs or whatever, but averaging 20 and things like that, all that goes into it. But the contribution to winning matters and the consistency matters because Mobley's been good since day one. And I think his numbers on the defensive side, I think he's in the defensive player of the year conversation. Also should be, you have to acknowledge that as well. Cade's probably going to put up better scoring numbers because he's the primary ball handler there or whatever. But you still got to acknowledge what Mobley is doing. But I think it's going to come down to those two. I do think Cade, they have a good chance to win it, though.
No, for sure.
But
you never know.
They're definitely going to take, if he doesn't end the year averaging 20 or so, 17, 18, like 8 and such, people are going to look at the record because the record do matter. Because if somebody averages 40 and his team doesn't win a game, should he win MVP? The contribution to winning also goes into it. It's not the main thing. It's just one of the ingredients that go into it.
Sure.
So you gotta think about it. Because if these two candidates are neck and neck to you, what puts it over the top for you? If we both averaging 20 such points, we both averaging whatever rebounds, what's the difference?
No, for sure.
So you got to find those little things that put it over the top.
No, yeah, I definitely get what you're coming from because it all does matter.
He got a chance to. He definitely got a chance to win, though. It's just funny though. He didn't come out the gate
on fire.
So what I mean, some people kind of got off of him really quick, but you got to give him a chance to have a whole season, be consistent, be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
All that plays a part to it. So Cade's gonna be okay. I always like Cade's game. No. Detroit needs to seriously go ahead and just build around him, I guess. So.
Nah, yeah, I feel it. It definitely makes sense. But speaking of the Denver Nuggets, your boy Nikolai Jokic, as you would like to say,
Wilt Chamberlain.
There you go.
Yeah, he Wilt Chamberlain.
28 points.
I watching him. I imagine we'll be watching Wilt Chamberlain without the scoring, the initial scoring of Wilt. Obviously, Wilt averaging 50 and stuff like that. Jokic isn't going to do that, but the points, the rebounds, assists.
Like 28 points, like 21 rebounds, 9 assists.
Just the only ticker is like Wilt would have been averaging 20 and 20. Yeah. Not just getting it here or there. Yeah. But that's why I say Wilt Chamberlain 2022.
Yeah. For sure. And we see Jokic like he's been on a tear all season, but more recently he's been going like super crazy. Mm-hmm. Joel Embiid has really picked it up over the past couple month and a half. Yeah. It's like maybe the last 8 weeks.
And honestly, he's been on fire last. I mean, he was player of the month in December. Since he came back from COVID, and gotten back in form.
He's been great. And with that being said, Philly is holding place in the Eastern Conference playoff race. Maybe they can make a push if they finally decide to make some trades to improve the team. But do you think this is the legendary big man matchup battle rivalry that maybe NBA fans, not even just NBA fans, but the NBA has been looking for because we haven't seen it in a while with how the game's been played on the perimeter for the last 10 years?
I think it's overall just a good matchup to have for the game because they're both top MVP candidates right now.
Definitely that.
I can't say it's over for either person because there's still so much game left. And I think KD is still in the conversation too because though they've both been doing what they've been doing recently, you still have to acknowledge the beginning of the season also. Right. I mean, that matters throughout the whole thing. So, but as KD misses more games, like me and X was talking about, that takes him more out of the race, especially when you're seeing what Jokic and Embiid is doing. So they're pulling away. But as far as matchups for the league, it look good because it makes sense. I always think I always remember you said like 5-6 years ago before you was doing this, when people were saying the big man was irrelevant, that we were going to get to a point where it's going to be dominating centers and things like that. And we're kind of getting there as the centers come back to life the last couple of years. You can go a good, strong 10 centers. That's why I've been saying they need to put it back on the ballot. But it's a good matchup to have to see going forward. And then, I mean, they both can get their team to a certain level. It would be cool to see them in the finals. We've gotten that battle before in the finals. We saw Hakeem and Shaq in the finals and Hakeem and David Robinson. So you haven't really seen it since then because Shaq never met his match. Honestly, he never met his match when Shaq was really at his reign. Like, obviously, early Shaq, he did make it to the finals really early. But when Shaq was dominating and winning championships, nobody was really in his way or whatever. So we haven't had that type of matchup. And then, I mean, we've kind of honestly missed it on the wing a little bit too because you never got Kobe, LeBron, RP to Kobe. You never got.
You got Kobe, Melo once.
You got
We never got.
And I'm just talking about for the sense of in the finals.
Oh, in the finals.
For a sense in the finals. So
never got Kobe Wade.
Yeah. So if it happens, they're both a long way from that. It'll be a good marquee matchup to see. I think they both got the pieces to do it though, and it'll be cool to see. I was like 4 when it was Hakeem versus David Robinson. So, Hakeem versus Shaq, or even him versus Ewing. You know what I mean? The battle of the bigs.
Right now, we don't. It's just not because it wasn't a value position like how it is now. With we gonna just get a big. He gonna block shots. He gonna rebound.
We definitely went through the dog years of the bigs. So there were some bad bigs in the league. Now I won't call them bad, but
it was some.
They weren't some developed bigs. Right. People didn't care about the skills of them. They just were just get the tallest player. And then as the game has gotten more perimeter oriented, everyone's getting their skills up a little more.
Right. That's the only way you're gonna survive in the league. You have to, no matter what position you're in, you have to be skilled on both sides of the court. Like, so it makes sense that the 2 of the most skilled big men in the NBA are also like 2 of the most skilled players in general in the NBA. Right. If you really sit back and think about it.
Yeah, easily top 10 skilled players in the league.
Right. But as you just said a moment ago, RIP to Kobe. It's been 2 years since that, since the days passed. And we all know how I think everybody had a moment that day where we felt like it was a little bit crazy. I don't want to get into it too much because just acknowledge it. That's what today is. If you didn't know, if you haven't been on Twitter today, because it's gonna be everywhere. So just get ready for Kobe stories all day. It's gonna be everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, RIP to Kobe.
Definitely. But good news. Watched the Darius Garland show the other night in the fourth quarter versus the Knicks. And I liked how poised he was in the fourth quarter. Like he didn't necessarily have a good game overall in the first three.
He was having a tough shit.
But when the time before it counted, every pass mattered. He got him there. He hit the big shot in the corner on the side step. Darius Garland is maturing into a great point guard, and I hope to see him make the All-Star game this year. A player who's not going to make the All-Star game but should make the All-Star game, Anthony Edwards, who we must protect at all costs, had a 40 ball last night with no assists. He's the one of 4 players, 20 and under, 22 and under, to have 4 40-point games.
Yeah.
Him, LeBron, Luka, and
KD.
Yeah,
because LeBron got the most. LeBron got 8.
And as you brought to my attention, this was kind of personal to him because something that was said from Portland Trailblazers CJ McCollum last year about something Anthony Edwards said about his teammate, which is that he don't listen to Dame music.
Yeah, well, and I actually went back because I was trying to figure out what he said just through all of this.
What did he say?
And what they asked him about his rapping because Ant raps. So he said that basically he said he rapping like Lil Baby. He don't know. Basically, he said he don't rap like Dame. He don't know what Dame is talking about, and that goes to our conversation off camera. Like he's 20 years old. They don't. He's 20 from Atlanta. Dame is from Oakland or whatever. But either way, that's what he said about Dame. Paraphrasing it a little bit, you can look it up. And then CJ comes back and says that he should work on his jump shot. You can't run in the West, basically. And Ant never responded to that, to my knowledge, until he saw him last night. And then
some of the quotes are amazing.
Some of the quotes after the game, where he was like, I looked at man in his face and saw fear. And
that's all she wrote.
CJ was guarding him a couple of those times, so he gave him a nice little 40 piece. I do think Ant has a chance to be. They're gonna take one person from Minnesota. It'll probably be Cat, but I think Ant got a good chance because Ant is better defensively than people give him credit for.
Absolutely.
I think his passion for the game. I think the coaches acknowledge that. And at the end of the day, Cat's been there and they was losing. Ant the reason they win.
Yeah,
he know the reason. But Ant is the reason Minnesota's better for real. They finally got some more healthy D'Angelo Russell or whatever, but it's not surprising that they're better with that wing. Jimmy was there. They made the playoffs. Sprewell. They always need a win. Shout out to Sprewell.
Get your Minnesota Timberwolves.
Take it back there.
Minnesota Timberwolves formula should be big man, wing, point guard.
Yeah. But they're going to definitely, because they're winning, so you
have to consider.
You have to consider one person from that team being an all-star. Cat is 24 and like 11, 12, somewhere in that range. I hope.
I feel like
I don't know his rebounds, but I know he's averaging almost 25 points per game. So he's going to get a real conversation. But Ant is 20. He's basically 23 a game. So
can't argue 23. Well, you can, but you can't. And I feel like it's going to be more spots open in the backcourt than it is at the front court, honestly.
Yeah, good opportunity for Ant to get in, though. But they're definitely not getting 2. So
no, they're not getting 2. They're not that good.
Yeah, so shout out to Ant-Man giving them 40 and the win. No assists. Right. I ain't just shooting tonight.
No buckets. The Sacramento Kings is one of those teams who've been in trade talks or players, maybe leaving to go to a couple of destinations. But the Sacramento Kings is a story of a franchise who I feel like was not just just an area fan favorite, but just a favorite. Everybody liked watching the Sacramento Kings play basketball. Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Jason Williams, Pager, Doug Christie, Ron Artest.
That's because we had the era of the winning Sacramento.
We absolutely did, and that's probably the best era outside of Nate Archibald winning that one championship in Cincinnati. But to see what the Sacramento Kings.
No, Nate won for them or Oscar? I thought Oscar won.
No, that was Nate Archibald.
I didn't think Nate got one until he went to Boston.
Nah, they got his in Sacramento, Cincinnati.
No, yeah,
Kansas City.
If it was Cincinnati, it was definitely
Kansas City. My bad. Yeah. But the Sacramento Kings have been a team that makes bad decision after bad decision every year. Just when it comes, not just the roster. I'm not even gonna speak on the front office. and we've seen them kind of not match their best players with like skilled players at opposite positions. They drafted DeMarcus Cousins, draft power forward, center, small forward, power forward, center, shooting guard. They never tried to get DeMarcus Cousins a point guard of quality until they drafted Aaron Fox the summer after DeMarcus Cousins leaves, I think, if I remember correctly. Now you get a player who seems to be a rising star in De'Aaron Fox. Buddy Hield was there. He's a good consistent shooter for him, but he hasn't been great, or he hasn't taken off like people thought he would. They haven't drafted complementary pieces around him outside of trying with Marvin Bagley too. Like, okay, the roster makes sense. You draft Halliburton and Davion Mitchell back to back. You give Harrison Barnes a decent size extension, and just at this point, what is it that Sacramento needs to do? They let Shaq be a part-time owner at one point. Like,
yeah, he just sold his stake.
What is it that Sacramento really needs to do to fix this?
Everybody and just start over. They really need to get rid of ownership. Somebody else needs to buy the team. Get a new president of basketball operations. Get a new GM. Get a new head coach. Trade all of the players and start completely over. My thing when teams do certain things, like Sacramento has drafted a point guard, a primary ball handler 3 years in a row. And I'm real big on maybe De'Aaron Fox isn't developing how they want him to, because 21 points is nice. I know he averaged 23 is nice. Those are good stats, but it don't, if you're not really contributing to winning and he's had health issues, it's not like De'Aaron has played really well. I really like De'Aaron Fox, but it's not like he's knocked my socks off as a player. And it's just like, all right, he's untouchable. Like, that's a fair thing to say. He's really, really good. And I think if he's around really good pieces, I think he makes a team better. That's why I wasn't mad at him in pieces for Ben Simmons. Yeah. Some people don't want him to go to the Knicks, but I think he actually could help the Knicks, honestly. Because he's going to play defense for Tibbs, and he'll push the ball and whatever. It doesn't seem like it's a plan, though. Maybe the plan was De'Aaron and Marvin Bagley, and it doesn't work. Cool. If they didn't work, I don't see why you don't get off of them and figure out what player you're building around. It's been just back and forth over the years with them and Buddy Hield. They're going to trade him, or they're going to keep him. Is he going to start? Is he going to on the bench? Buddy, as inconsistent as he's been, he's still somehow always finished top three in 3-pointers made. Like, he's always in that conversation. So he's inconsistent, but he kind of plays well at the same time. Yeah. It's just weird.
It is what it is.
But Buddy plays, he plays some good basketball, but he plays some bad basketball at the same time. It's like he'll start and he'll play bad, and he'll come on the bench and he'll play great. And then he start playing bad. Like I said, he's inconsistent.
It's a routine.
He's inconsistent.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of like, who's Sacramento building around? What are they trying to make the playoffs? I'll ask you first. Are they trying to make the playoffs? From you watching them, what do you think they're trying to do?
I don't even know. I just don't think, like you said, they don't have a plan.
The league, you're trying to do one of three things. You're trying to win a championship. Right. You're trying to make the playoffs. Right. 4 things, my bad. You're trying to win the championship. You're trying to make the playoffs. You're trying to build towards making the playoffs, or you're trying to tank. You're trying to lose. You're trying to get a high draft pick. You're trying to get off contracts, whatever. We know they're not trying to compete for a championship. All right. We know they're not. So that's when I ask: are they trying to? We know they're not trying to contend for the playoffs. Yeah, right. Are they trying to tank, or are they actually thinking we're trying to make the playoffs? Because like you said, they gave Harrison Barnes a nice deal. You gave Rashawn Holmes a nice deal. Still got De'Aaron there. They paid Buddy Hield. So they're young, but these dudes aren't young. So if you're trying to make the playoffs, why aren't they drafting pieces that fits? And I'm not completely mad at the Halliburton thing, because he can play on and off the ball. That kind of keeps De'Aaron on and off the ball too, which I'm not completely mad at or whatever. So I kind of get it. But they aren't still kind of filling the holes of the other pieces, adding other shooters, the back and forth of, is Buddy a starter or is he not? They're not building the cohesiveness of what they want their franchise to be. I would assume that they're trying to make the playoffs. So, and maybe you could say players don't want to sign in Sacramento, because I was going to ask, why wouldn't my plan would be to go after certain veterans to help my young players play better? So it's just a matter of what are they trying to do? The front office has been all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
The coaching has been all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And at least the players have been all over the place. Because I'm not mad at their pieces. And my last thing I'll say about it is, and this is going to be very unpopular opinion also, maybe they are trying to make the playoffs and their players just aren't performing how we think they should perform. They don't pull out big wins. They don't play consistent. And if that's the case, though, that's where I get into my why don't you blow it up, I guess. But maybe they're trying to get people opportunities and they aren't. Because when you get real with it, these are quality players, right? They are quality. But early in his career, De'Aaron has had his health issues. Marvin Bagley has had his health issues. And I would think those are the two players that they really plan on building on. Marvin Bagley went number two. Mm-hmm. De'Aaron Fox went four,
something like that, yeah.
So maybe you're thinking those are your building blocks. Bagley has pretty much been unplayable most of his career. And I know there's Bagley fans out there. People like him. He shows us glimpses. He looks good. He had a couple of games a couple of weeks ago. It was Luke Walton wasn't playing him. Alvin Gentry starts him. He still didn't play that great. So, I mean, at some point, I guess it is on the players to also perform. But then it's on like the consistency of what your coach wants to see you do. So they just got to get people on the same accord, and they've pretty much never had that, except for that run of Chris Webber. Then, so I think it's on the players, it's on the GM, it's on the owner. We need to just get rid of the franchise and move somewhere else.
Nah, fake.
Do we need a team in Sacramento? Like we got the Warriors and Golden in the Bay. Got the Lakers, the Clippers about to go to Inglewood. Do we need the Kings? They can go to Seattle.
That's what I'd be thinking. Like, just if you don't want to make a new team, just move Sacramento to Seattle. But I think you make a good point.
We don't care about their history.
Not really. But I think you make a good point about quality players just playing bad basketball.
Yeah.
And I don't think people want to say that a lot because you shouldn't say that. But I think that's a really good point. And speaking of quality players playing bad basketball, the Washington Wizards give up a 35-point lead last night. Had the Washington Wizards NBA spaces in a shamble.
Right. But I just have one real quick question, and then let's end it on Sacramento.
Go ahead.
If it is the quality players playing basketball, do you think we can end it with that? Do you think is it because they don't have good direction from the front office too? There's always been this back and forth with the owners and stuff too.
I think that's the part into it.
Yeah. So end that. Right. Wizards.
The Washington Wizards give up a 35-point lead to the Clippers last night, who I think had their fourth 20-plus point comeback of January.
Oh, really?
No,
January?
Yeah, January.
That's pretty good.
But the Washington Wizards is a team who started out good. We thought they got some good
first place at one point, 2 games into the season.
We thought we didn't think they did get some good pieces in the rush trade, who people thought was unmovable. But to see the Wizards kind of fall back into some old habits, not closing games, not playing consistently good defense, not playing consistently good offense. I say good twice right there. We know that, of course, they got a new head coach over the summer. What's Unseld Jr. What is the Wizards' real problem? Like, they've always been kind of outside of their one championship with my guy back in the way back. Wes Unseld, that is. What is it that
only Rick ever won MVP?
Yes. What is it that the Wizards need to do to kind of get out of this mediocrity? Because I feel like the Washington basketball wants more. Their fans.
Yeah, I don't
know. I'm not watching the Wizards fan. No.
The team, and I definitely was one of the people that thought they got good pieces over the summer. I thought in the rush trade. I'm not the biggest fan of Spencer Dinwiddie, so I never loved them signing him, but I understood them signing him. Mm-hmm. They didn't trade for a guard. Kyle Lowry was gone. Mm-hmm. Got rid of Westbrook. Need to bring in a guard. Right. And, I mean, honestly, he's one of the investment that hasn't really worked out for them so far. I mean, he's coming off an injury.
Or is he who he was always going to be?
He is. Now, if you're asking me that question, he is who I thought he was going to be. But if you're asking him that question, them that question, they thought, well, she's coming off injury. Gotta acknowledge he's coming off injury. But they thought they were getting 17 to 20 points per game, borderline all-star Spencer Dinwiddie. He said before that he thought he was an all-star in the past.
Right.
Some people thought he should have been an all-star over D'Angelo Russell that year.
He shouldn't have been.
No, D'Angelo Russell was the right choice, but it was all some people like Dinwiddie, some people like Dinwiddie, some people like LeVert,
some people like Russell.
The smart people like D'Angelo Russell. So, but they signed him because you trade Russ. I mean, what people think about Russ, that's 18-10 gone. So you're thinking you don't expect him to average. That's why I said 17 or 20, because I'm not gonna just put 20 points per game on him. It's really hard to average 20 points, but they're expecting about 17 a game from him. But it's not all on him either. Trez has such a up and downness to his game. Like he looked revived at the beginning of the year, and then it's like the league figures him out again. He's Trez. He's too small. He can get taken advantage of on defense, things like that. You got to acknowledge Brad's scoring drop. He's been over 30 the last couple of years. He's at about 23 right now, so that makes him different. I don't think Brad's gonna be an all-star this year.
He gonna complain about it, but like, do you deserve to be an all-star?
Right. They didn't have Hachimura for a good part of the beginning of the season. Trying to work him in. So I just think some of the pieces just weren't able to stay consistent for them, and they got into the grind of the season and they got hit. Honestly, I mean, the defense isn't helping them out because I don't think they're as bad
as they look.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I don't think they're as bad defensively as they've been in the past.
No,
like they were terrible under Scott Brooks. They didn't even try to play defense under Scott Brooks, but they have gotten a little worse on the defensive side.
No, for sure.
That foul was weak at the end. I went back and watched it back, but it was a foul though. Good job.
It's not about
good job, but it was weak.
It's not about how strong the foul is.
No, I'm not even saying it was weak because
no such thing.
I wouldn't even say it was weak because he didn't foul him hard. No. I just think.
Did he try to foul him hard?
No, not even because of that. I just think it's weak because it could have been a no call because of the contact was really marginal. So I don't care if it's like he just slapped his hand or he just kind of touched him. If you touch him, you touch him. But I just think it's kind of marginal where they could have let it go. But either way, they deserve to lose that game. How you let them come back from 35? So good job, but I wouldn't have called that foul.
Nah,
the 4-point play foul. I would just let him have his 3 in overtime.
Nah.
But good job, because how you give a 35-point lead?
You don't.
How you give up?
Well, I mean, you do. You can.
You don't.
You could.
It's the
I was
gonna say, and at the end of the day, it's the NBA. Teams will
go on a run.
It's the league, man.
But other than that,
see, look, somebody. I think Chris LeBron, shout out Chris LeBron, president of the Ball Network. I think he asked what happened. Was it him? I don't know who it was, but somebody asked on Twitter what happened, and they posted a picture of Tracy McGrady coming back against the Spurs, and they said Luke Kennard became him.
Shout out to Tracy McGrady. Oh my God, one of the greatest moments in NBA history. But other than that, do you have anything else for the people today?
No, just as always, appreciate the viewers. Shout out to the Off the Ball Network.
Absolutely.
You can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Just search the Hoopers Pod. Our Hoopers Hour with Nothing But Net just posted on our podcast site, so you can go back and listen to that. Speaking of Nothing But Net, shout out to the Nothing But Net Network through the Dash Radio app. We're on it every Monday, 3 p.m. for the Hoopers Hour. Go to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page. Appreciate the YouTube. It's been getting some more traction. So shout out to the people that subscribing to the YouTube. Go to YouTube, search the Hoopers Pod, hit subscribe, go back and watch some videos, comment on some stuff, all that cool stuff. Shout out to the halftime app. We on halftime tonight, 6:00. Who we talking about? We talked about All-Stars last week with Nick Andre. It was a really good conversation.
I think maybe we just talk about tonight's matchups. I'm pretty sure it's a good game tonight. It's ESPN Wednesday, so
okay.
Maybe we talk about the game tonight. So
y'all come we're gonna keep it running.
Come join us on the halftime app. Talk basketball. Maybe we'll let y'all talk. We ain't stingy like that.
Right, for sure. So halftime app, 6:00. If you're free, come on through. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. It's all goodie.
Other than that, John W.
It's Frexh.
This was the Hoopers Afternoon Session.
Catch y'all later.